Hey there, it's Melissa Benaroya with Childproof Parenting Live today. And I wanted to bring a reader's question up because I think many of you can relate to her experience and not knowing exactly what to do. So I'm going to read you her email. This is from Elise. And then I'll respond by giving some ideas and clues and some strategies to ideally avoid this challenge, but also talk about what we can do in response when it happens. So I'm just going to read what she sent me. She said, this is a necessary and exciting time for me to get some help and direction. My almost 3-year-old just started at a new Montessori school. She was previously at a daycare. She says, I feel like I'm on board with positive discipline parenting. However, I'm having a hard time with this and how to get kids to not do certain behaviors when there are no consequences. For example, at dinner, my daughter loves to put her feet up on the table because she knows she's not allowed to. I'm physically taking her feet off the table or taking her down from the table when she does this, but it just continues over and over. I know she's doing it because I told her not to. What should I be doing in this situation and other similar ones to this? Thank you. So this is a great question, and I hear this type of stuff all the time. So a few things to think about. Number one, your child is going through a stage of separation individuation, which means your child is now has this awareness that they are a separate person from you. Up until this point, psychologically, they actually identified as part of you. So they are separating from you. And when they begin to separate or individuate, they realize that they have their own opinions. And they also realize that they don't have a lot of power and control, which is frustrating because honestly, kids that are almost 3 years old have almost zero power and control. The only thing they control is their physical body. What they put in their body, what comes out of their body, where they place their body, what they do with their body. Also, in regards to where they put their feet on the table is part of where they put their body. So there's a lot of struggles around power and control and the need to feel power and control. And in doing so, putting her feet up, she feels like she has control because she's getting a reaction from you. Now, in addition to power and control, many times these negative behaviors are due to your child's need or want for more attention. And I realize you probably feel like you gave your child 100% of your attention, but that's never enough. So they will often do negative things because they quickly get your attention. They quickly draw you in when they're doing something that they know they're not supposed to. So being mindful that whether you're giving your child some control by offering lots of limited choices, and that maybe what your child's asking for, because they can't necessarily verbally communicate it, they are communicating through their behaviors and actions, is that they want your attention. So asking some curiosity questions about what they want, what they need, how they're feeling can be really helpful in determining what's driving the behavior, because all behavior is purposeful. So there is a reason she is doing this. And, it's kind of funny to see your parents react. Now, one other thing that may be fueling this particular behavior is that you're focusing on what she shouldn't do or what she can't do. And many times when we say, we don't put our feet on the table or don't put your feet on the table, or whatever it is you say. I don't know what you say. But we just tell them what not to do. And what they hear many times is just feet on the table, which reinforces the behavior. And we aren't necessarily telling them or helping them figure out how to get what they want or what they need or express themselves. We're just telling them what not to do. So it makes sense that your child keeps going back to this behavior because you haven't focused on what they can do. So after asking you, are you wanting my attention right now? And maybe it clicks in that moment. They're like, yes. And then you can talk about ways to get attention. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, well, you know what you could say is, Mom, I want your attention. Or Mom, can you look at me? Many times we're running around, especially at the dinner table, and we're not even making eye contact with our child. So sometimes it's just turning and looking at our child is enough. that so they don't feel like they need to go to this place. So focusing on what they can do. It might sound like, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for keeping your feet on the floor. Or I appreciate when you put both of your feet down. Or thank you for removing your feet from the table. So we're telling them what to do versus what not to do. It tends to be more effective when we come at it from this approach. Now, you brought up when there are no consequences, and many times there actually are consequences. They're just tough to come up with if we're not used to coming up with logical consequences or being able to identify what the natural consequences are. So maybe your child puts her feet up on the table and it's clear that's something that we don't do at dinner time, and you just let your child know it looks like you're all done eating and we remove the plate. Now your child's not going to starve. They're going to figure out that if they want to be at the table and they want to eat, that they need to follow the guidelines and the rules for how you control yourself or manage yourself at the dinner table. So there are consequences, and some people are more comfortable with certain consequences than others. I think children learn very effectively when they get a little uncomfortable. It's not that we're doing anything to them, but like the example of the natural consequence when it looks like you're all done for dinner is that they maybe feel a little bit hungry later because they didn't eat everything. They were fooling around, and they learn quickly that that doesn't work. And maybe later they say, oh, I'm really hungry, Mom. And then we just simply, oh no, bummer. You didn't eat everything at the table because you were messing around today. But you know what, tomorrow, feel free to keep your feet down, and you're welcome to stay at the dinner table as long as you need to, or you're welcome to have as much dinner as you want, as long as you're being respectful at the table. Or maybe you have some kind of family rule about respect or safety or whatever it is, and referring to that specific family rule. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that we can do to tweak to avoid some of these challenges in the first place. And the second piece is when things don't go well, there are natural and logical consequences that we come up with. And those are things that I spend a lot of time on in the Child-Proof Parenting course. So we go deep, deep, deep into what these responses look like, sound like, making small tweaks to make what you're already doing more effective. So just wanted to share with you a few things that I think could be helpful to you in these situations. It is very common for kids to do this kind of stuff, especially things that are very physical, because a lot of times before the brain is fully developed, which doesn't happen for a very long time. So at 3, almost 3, it's a very underdeveloped brain. So there's not a lot of logic or ration, and they are many times responding from emotion. If they're feeling frustrated or sad that you're not paying attention, they're going to do something physical to communicate to you that they're not happy with it or they want your attention. And your job as the parent is to really put on your detective hat and notice, or maybe ask questions to get at what is underneath that behavior. Because if we're just responding to what we see on the surface, we may be solving for the wrong thing. We may be far off. We might not be responding in the most effective way. So I think getting really clear on what's going on, what's driving the behavior, and your child, you can't ask them that necessarily, especially at 3, like, hey, what's going on? What are you feeling? Right? We may need to coach them a little bit and say, you know, are you feeling done with your dinner, or maybe are you wanting my attention? So we can start offering some choices so they can identify it. And when they do so, they're able to recognize that more, and they're able to attach a new way of communicating because you focus on what they can do or what they can say to let you know what they want, what they need, or what they're feeling. So I just wanted to share Elise's question because I think it's very relevant to, I would say, all parents. This isn't just for 3-year-olds. I think this is very effective in elementary school and teenagers as well. So this applies across the board. Obviously, what you say and do is going to be a little bit different. And for older kids, it might feel like they've lost hope and they're responding this way, or maybe they're feeling a sense of like revenge and wanting to get back at you because they don't like the way you're talking to them, or they're feeling powerless. So there's a lot that can be driving it at different ages and stages, but because Elise had a 3-year-old, I wanted to respond to that. So like I mentioned before, a lot of these tools and strategies can be found and learned in the Childproof Parenting course, which I run every quarter, but I've now opened it up as a self-study program. And with the self-study program, you get a monthly coaching call. So you get to send in questions and I answer them live for you over video. You and I can interact over video, or you can submit your questions in advance if you're not available and go back and watch me answer your questions later. So I'd love to see more of you in that self-study course. It's self-paced. All of the courses are self-paced, but you're not following with a specific class of people. So if you feel like you need more than 6 weeks to cover the content, I would say figure out your pace, if it's 8 weeks, if it's 12 weeks, and figure out what's gonna work for you. All right, well, I love your questions, so please send them in. I like to talk about questions you have, what we're seeing in the media. I like to talk about the blog posts that I'm sharing and answering questions about that. So if you're not on my email list, feel free to go to childproofparenting.com. If you sign up for one of my freebies or sign up just to be on the mailing list of VIP, you will get all of the information that I send to my readers on a bi-weekly basis. I'd love to see more of you. All right, well, everybody have a great week. Avoid some of these challenges by focusing on yes and what your child can do. All right, bye for now. I will see you next week. Bye.